Afternoon everyone, I'm back to the channel. So tonight we're going to be reviewing this, the Epiphone inspired by Gibson 60s Les Paul Standard. Probably the first question you've got is, what's the difference between a 60s and a 50s Standard? Differences are, the 60s has got the Grover Rotomatic machine heads, the 50s has got the tulip sort of snot key buttons. The 60s has got the slim taper neck, which I think is nicer than the fatter 50s taper neck, or the 50s has just got a bigger neck. Also, I think the top's nicer on the 60s. You do get the Heritage Cherry Sunburst on the 50s model. It also comes in gold, but with this you get the iced tea, which I think is the second best finish on the Epiphone Les Paul lineup. I think the best one, this is the one that I nearly bought, was the classic, which had like a sort of lovely sort of plain top honey burst. But as I'll go into later, the electrics on that just weren't as good. They were a bit cheap. They weren't didn't have much of a taper on the volume. So yeah, second option was I went for this, and I'm glad I did. So yeah, let's get the review started. So first, looks. You know, I've had many Les Pauls over the years. I've always wanted a Sunburst Les Paul. This is the first one I've had really, but the first nice one I've had. I think the iced tea is just beautiful on this. It's got the sort of the cherry back and sides, and it's not too garish. I think the Epiphone 50s model with the classic Heritage Cherry Sunburst, it's just a bit too garish and loud for me. It's not done very well. I think this is the best burst. The 60s model also comes with the bourbon burst, which is sort of like a darker sort of black going into yellowy type of burst. Didn't really like that. I think the other option for the 60s is just black. So yeah, I've made a bit of a compromise with the colour. I would have loved this with the the plain top honey burst, but this has got a lovely flame to it. Even though this is a veneer, it's not a real maple top. It's a maple cap with the flame veneer on top of that, but we'll get into that later. Yeah. Also, I mean, it has to be said, Epiphone have updated the headstock to the new sort of Kalamazoo style, which does look better. Some people have said, oh, it makes it feel like you're playing a Gibson. It doesn't. It's when you look at it, you kind of know that you're playing a copy, unfortunately. And that's not to the detriment of this guitar. This guitar just feels so close to a Gibson now, closer than it's ever felt. But yeah, the headstock is nice, but it's, in my opinion, it's still not nice enough for me. Anyway, let's move on to the features of this guitar. So anyway, like I say, this is the 60s model, 60s Standard. There's various models in the Epiphone range. I really like the look of the Studio, which is like the stripped back. There's no binding. The Studio came with the call taps, but this has got the upgraded pickups as well. This comes with the Probuckers, which is another reason why I went for this. This has got the same slim taper 60s neck as the Studio and the Classic, I think. But anyway, let's go from top to bottom, I think. So, headstock, as I say, the new Kalamazoo headstock. It looks great. It's not a replacement for the way you feel about having Gibson on the headstock. I know that is just so shallow, I know, but when you look there, it feels nice if Gibson's there to me. So anyway, you've got, it's pearloid, which is good. I mean, you don't even get pearloid on the Gibson Studios, you just get it gold. You know, Les Paul model, same as a Gibson. Standard, same as a Gibson. No complaints, kind of, with the machine heads. These are kind of my favourite machine heads. Grover Rotomatics, real Grover Rotomatics. But what I will say is, these shafts seem a little bit short to me. You know, you might get about 2 or 3 wraps on the bottom, but that's it. They just seem a little, I would have liked to have seen longer shafts on these, just to get a few more winds on the lower strings. Minor point, probably doesn't need them. This guitar never goes out of tune. You know, Epiphones don't, in my opinion. You know, I've owned 3 recent Epiphones. Just before this, I owned the inspired by Gibson Les Paul Jr. That was the same. You know, you've got the Graphtec nut. Everything's just stable. They just don't go out of tune. If you want a guitar that doesn't go out of tune, just get an Epiphone Les Paul. Bingo. Anyway, that's the headstock. Now the difference between this headstock and a Gibson headstock is it's a shallower break angle. So a Gibson, I think, is something like 17 degrees. The Epiphones are 14 degrees. So it's a shallower angle, break angle. And what does that mean? Well, there's probably a difference in the tone, but also it is going to be more stable. You know, if you knock this, there's less chance of breaking this headstock at 14 degrees than there is if it was 17 degrees. Put it that way. Also at this sort of headstock, these, you know, this, and another difference to Gibson is this isn't a 1-piece neck, this is a 3-piece neck. So the headstock is scarf jointed here, and it's also joined, I guess, round here. It's hard to tell, but this is a 3-piece neck. All Epiphone Les Pauls are 3-piece necks, as opposed to the 1-piece Gibson. So that's another difference there. You know, as you can probably tell, you know, although this guitar feels closer than it's ever been to a Gibson, there are still a lot of concessions that this guitar makes to Gibson, and I'm going to go through with you today. Anyway, yeah, so let's down to the nut. So this is a Graphtec newborn nut, which I think is an upgrade over what you'd get on a Gibson. Just, you know, I always like to sort of like check the nut height by, you know, fretting the 3rd fret and then seeing what the clearance is. I think it's really good. Maybe the bottom E is a tad too high, maybe. Now, I've done a lot of videos on my Fender Stratocaster. That's recently just came back from the Guitar Tech, where the nut's been cut absolutely perfectly now. That, you know, that's had a replacement Graphtec nut. So yeah, you can kind of tell that this has been cut a little bit high. There is, I mean, you know, I could take this to the tech and get that cut even lower, but for now it's fine. Minor criticism on the nut though, which is nothing really, but the sort of the forward facing corners could possibly do with filing, maybe, but I'm not going to bother because I don't want to touch the guitar. It's such a minor issue. Okay, so moving on to the fingerboard. This is a Laurel, Indian Laurel fingerboard. It could do with, you know, a splash of lemon oil. That would make it darker, it would make it feel nicer. I haven't done that yet. You know, no need to at the minute. The frets also, I mean, they're nice, but they could possibly do with a little bit more of a polish. So, you know, I might get the micro mesh out and just go over it, but I'm not doing anything yet. I'm not taking the strings. I'm not going to even take the strings off this guitar yet, because it's just set up so perfect we'll get into that later. It's fine the way it is at the minute. I don't want to touch it. And yeah, you know, the frets, I've got this down to about just under a 1mm action, which is where I like to get all my guitars. Now, I know it doesn't have to be that low. You can always raise it a bit, but I just like to see how far it goes, you know, so you can sort of tell if it needs work on the frets. Try not to talk about the Strat again, but that was a nightmare. It's only just now I've got to get that low after loads of work and pain. But straight out of the box, you know, this is unbelievable. Really low action. You know, and definitely manageable with 10s that it comes with. And I would probably, when these are worn out, I'd probably buy a pack of 9s, even better. I wouldn't call it slinky, but with 9s, yeah, definitely. The inlays, trapezoid inlays, you know, very nice. No, you know, no problems with that. In fact, I can't find any problems at all, you know, in the build quality of this guitar. The minorest little thing I probably spotted is this, which is nothing. It's just, you know, where the body meets the neck. It's not 100%, you know, 1,000,000% perfect, but probably on par with the Gibson. I'd say that, you know, for a quarter of the price. It's great. The neck itself, I mean, what really caught my imagination was when I played the studio version of this, and I had it in my hand and I just thought, this just feels like my old Gibson. You know, I had a black Gibson Les Paul Studio and the Epiphone Les Paul Studio. It really did feel exactly the same. Yeah, but you know, I sort of veered away from the studio because I didn't really want the coil taps. I want, you know, I know that the coil taps haven't got the CTS pots. I wanted the full CTS pots. You know, I've got a Strat for single coil tones. Yeah, I wanted the full Monty. I wanted the standard. I wanted the nicer top. Yeah, so, you know, this, you know, just by design, you know, this is Les Paul. I love Les Pauls. You know, upper fret access, you know, it's better than something like a 335, definitely. It's not as good as the Strat. There's just too much bulk around this area, but you can still get up there with a bit of effort. I mean, you know, I think Les Pauls do require a little bit of effort, but you know what I mean? I'm not going to veer into that territory too much in this video. There'll be another one to come, you know, Stratocaster versus Les Paul, where we'll get into all that, carry on. So yeah, so, you know, no complaints with, you know, the Indian Laurel fingerboard. You know, it's rosewood on a real Gibson. You know, like it's a 3-piece neck versus 1-piece on the Gibson, but other than that, it feels so similar. You know, if you close your eyes, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. Okay, so just quickly the selector switch, and you know what I will say about the newer Epiphones, I've had the ES335 Pro, which was an amazing guitar. I got that in 2015. I've had a couple of years ago I got the Junior, and yeah, they've basically sorted out the electrics. I did have an older Les Paul from around about the 2000 mark, and I had an Epiphone Les Paul, and I had to replace everything. The switch was no good, the socket, jack socket was no good, the electrics were rubbish, the pickups were rubbish. But this does not need anything replacing on it. You know, this is a giggable guitar straight out of the box, 100%, no problem. And you know, in some ways, I mean, some people have said it's better than a Gibson. I don't think it is better than a Gibson. They've got the CTS pots, but these are probably inferior, an inferior brand of CTS, or an inferior model anyway, as to the full USA spec. You know, it's probably not a proper, you know, Switchcraft, whatever it is, switch. You know, the pickups probably aren't as good as the USA counterparts. But let's move on to the pickups, because this is interesting. Now, the last sort of Epiphone that well, not the last one, the last, before the Les Paul Junior, they had a P90, but before that, the AS335 Pro came with Alnico Classics, Alnico Classic Pros. Now, those are billed as being a lot hotter than these, which are Probuckers. And also on the new Studios and the new Classic range, they also come with the Alnico Classics. And what I've read somewhere, I mean, you can research it yourself, this comes with burst bucker, a 2 in the neck and a 3 in the bridge. Now, I think the bridge is something like 9k and the neck something like 8k. Now, if you've got a 50s Les Paul, I think that comes with a 1 in the neck and a 2 in the bridge, so that's going down in power again, so that's something like a 7 in the neck and an 8 in the bridge. Now, if you want it a little bit hotter, then I would suggest going for the Studio, because that's still got the Alnico Classic Pros or whatever they are in there, which are hotter pickups, more modern sounding. Now, these are sort of designed, they're not as low output as the 50s model, but these are designed to be sort of more like your original PAFs. So that's sort of, you know, low power, more clarity. I think it's got uneven wraps on the coils on these, which gives it that characteristic, whereas it's even on the Alnico Classics, which are more modern and more powerful sounding. But you know, I'm going to plug this in later, and we can see this is, you know, this is still a Les Paul. You know, this is still going to be more powerful sounding than and bigger sounding than a Strat. But we'll come to that later. So yeah, so you've got your lock tone bridge and tailpiece, which is an improvement over the Gibson in some ways, because, like you say, these lock. So when you take the strings off, they don't just fall off the guitar like on the Gibson. But then again, these are probably inferior quality. You know, the Gibsons are probably lighter. I think, you know, these might be plated, sort of, whatever, or nickel, I think. And a Gibson is just, you know, one thing without the plating on them. You know, also lots been said about a Les Paul with the stop tail. Some people top wrap the strings over that to give you less string tension. I don't want to be messing about with this guitar. I'm just going to leave it as it is for the minute. What else? Jack socket. I would really like to have had the metal jack socket, which that comes with the Classic as well. But I'll see how that goes. It looks all right. You know, getting to the body. I mean, this is the crux of, you know, where the money's saved, apart from the country manufacturer. This is a Chinese made guitar. The Gibson's obviously USA labour. But this is the same thickness as a Gibson, but there's a veneer on the back, a mahogany veneer on the back, and the maple cap has got a veneer on the top for the flame, which isn't the same as a Gibson. So the Gibson is basically a solid mahogany back, no veneer, and a solid maple cap with whatever patterning's on their flame or quilt or whatever, or plain. So, I mean, why they've done that is just to basically hide the joins. You know, Gibson's probably using superior quality wood, so what Epiphone does is basically put the veneer on so it looks nice, and it hides the joins. Did they have to do that? I'm not sure, but that's one area where the money's been saved. And also on the top, you know, a Gibson would just be a one-piece maple top. You know, this has got the veneer on, so you've got the nice top. I know this is not a real Gibson. I don't want to pay £2,000 for a real Gibson. I think that's a good area to make a concession. The knobs as well. You know, they've got with the position markers. I really like that. The reflector, gold reflector knobs. Yeah, they just feel really good quality. You know, performance wise, I kind of prefer the speed knobs, but I'm happy with these. The speed knobs would not look right on this, and I love the look of this guitar. So yeah. Anything more about the features? Nothing really. Oh yeah, so with pointing out, people that are interested, so the 50s and the 60s Epiphone Les Paul Standards come with the long tenon neck joint. So that just means that the neck, you know, it runs further into the body. It doesn't do that on other models. It doesn't even do that on a Gibson these days. So there you go. Not all Gibsons anyway, not the standards. So another, you know, potential upgrade. You know, so you've got that. You've got your Graphtec nut. You've got potentially, you know, a better break angle on your neck. You know, you've got these Probuckers, which are supposed to be more classic. So I think, you know, feature wise, this has taken a lot of boxes for me. That's why I got it. I think that's about it for the features. You know, and for Gibson, I think we'll move on to playability. Yeah, and like I say, there's 10s on this. My Strat's got 9s. The Strat does feel a lot slinkier than this. I would like to see what this feels like with 9s on it, but like I say, that, you know, the action's down to about 1mm, which is low. I wouldn't really want to go any lower than that. I could go higher if I wanted. But just no playability problems at all. It's just been set up to perfection, I think, out of the box. You know, even the intonation feels okay. You know, bends. Great. Nice low action on the lower strings as well. Like I say, the only minorest thing is just maybe the nut could have been cut a smidge lower on the low E, but nothing I would really bother about. It's just something. Right, I guess we better plug it in now. Right, so what I've got here is a Marshall DSL1 valve amp, 1 watt, 2 channel, so it's got clean overdrive. You know, and this, you know, this is classic combo, isn't it? Gibson, or should I say Epiphone, into a Marshall. So let's see what it sounds like. Right. So EQ just completely flat, right? Oops. Got to see, that's got quite a bit of so this is on the clean channel, right? So there's no separate gain control. You just sort of get what you're given with this. And it's, as you can probably tell, it's starting to overdrive already. That's with the bridge pickup on full. Yeah, so going over the neck full again. That's a lot cleaner, which is nice. Back the bridge. So yeah, so, you know, first impression really is, you know, you've got that really nice fat, you know, full sounding neck pickup. In the bridge pickup, and then then you're kind of on the edge of overdrive there, which is a nice place to be, really. So remember, this is about 9k for the bridge and about 8k for the neck. So these aren't high output pickups. So rolling back a little bit on the bridge. You know, it's got a nice graduation through, you know, the travel of the volume control. No nasty surprises. Let's try that on the neck. Nice. Let's try the tones. No, I really love that neck pickup. It's just so clear. You know, I wasn't expecting it to be like. Actually, I was, because I knew it was low output. But yeah, that's the result of, you know, lower output pickups in the neck position. So, you know, I guess traditionally you're just used to the neck pickup. You don't use it as much because it's just so, it's too full, it's too muddy. But I'm sort of gravitating towards the neck pickup on this already. Yeah, and the bridge is a bit. You know, because it's just starting to misbehave a little bit, it's starting to get a little quack to it. I don't know if you notice that. But you know, all this is going to change and sort of add overdrive to it. But yeah, middle position. Yeah, and that's when the sort of that quack, I guess, of the bridge is coming into play with the middle position, blending in really nice. So I just back that off a little bit. And you know, that's of course one of the beauties of Les Pauls. You know, you can, in the middle position, you can sort of, there's no limit to the amount of tones you can get. You know, you're just sort of blending between the neck and the bridge pickup. Back on both of them, it just gets cleaner and cleaner. You know, and remember, you know, when you're in the middle position, the sort of the resistance is halved. So, you know, it'll be about, you know, 4.5k max in the middle. So that's probably where, you know, you're going to do the majority of your clean work, I would say. In my experience as well, you know, Les Pauls haven't been great clean guitars. The Junior was definitely not a good clean guitar, you know, compared to something like a Stratocaster. But this is a lot better because you've got all those different options. You know, you haven't just got the one pickup. You can just go in the middle and then. Neck's just lovely. For me, the bridge is just kind of losing out a little bit with a clean tone, because it wants to be. It sounds like it wants to be overdriven, if you know what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go to half on the clean volume, so You probably get a lot more overdrive now, but it's still not the OD channel. Oof, and there you go. So what's happening there is, you know, as the bridge pickup's getting pushed into even more overdrive, it's starting to come to life a little bit more. Sounding like now. But that's interesting. So, you know, even with, you know, a clump more gain added, you know, the bridge is happily, you know, starting to sing away now. But the neck, it's sounding massive now, but it's kind of still clean. Nice and bluesy anyway. And there you go, I'm veering onto the neck pickup again. I'm so impressed with the neck pickup of this guitar anyway. It seems to be outshining the bridge for some reason. It just sounds bigger, it sounds more dynamic. Right, so let's max out the clean channel. It's like the neck pickup just sounds right, and it's like the bridge pickup. You know, it's as though it's not sort of set up right. It sounds, maybe I just need to raise it a little bit, but the neck pickup is sounding comfortable with whatever I throw at it, and the bridge pickup isn't. Les Paul tones there. Yeah. So, anyway, let's forget that for a bit. Let's move on to the overdrive channel. So, about a third gain. Again, this is just, you know, the ultra gain channel on the DSL-1. EQ is just flat. And the nice thing is, humbuckers, no hum. So that, you know, there you go, that bridge pickup now is really coming into its own. And we've only just started on the overdrive channel. Neck. And there's that, that muffliness that I was complaining about earlier. It's just starting to creep in now. But it's nowhere near as much of a problem as it was, with the old, like the 498, whatever it was, the 490R and the 498Ts. I was hardly ever on the neck pickup of, my Gibson Les Paul Studio, but I can see how much more versatile this will be. Yeah, so I am there now on the bridge pickup. This is what the Les Paul is supposed to sound like now. Let's turn up the gain. So I'll half gain now. Am I really going to play that? Yeah. So neck pickup. Now it's just singing away now on any setting. Back off that tone. In the middle, for some strange reason. Great. What can I say? Max gain. Les Paul's all legendary for sustain, so let's just go big E. That's just going to keep going on forever. Yeah. So, it sounds like a Les Paul is what I'm trying to say. Tell you what we'll do, because I'm interested. What's been the most interesting part of that little playing session was with the clean. So, yeah. What I noticed was, it's probably the same for all Les Pauls, to be honest, but yeah, the neck pickup is totally outshined the bridge pickup. right up until I started to really lay on the overdrive, and then the bridge pickup came into its own. So it's lovely sounding pickup that. And then when you go in the middle, maybe just back off the bridge a little bit. No end of fun. And then, but then when you go onto the bridge pickup, it's just wanting to veer into that overdrive territory, which again is nice because sometimes that's what you want. You know, you want to be clean, and then you might want to switch to a So yeah, I suppose what I'm trying to say is this guitar is really versatile. You know, through all the gain stages, clean. You know, you've got that amazing. That's an amazing pickup, that Probucker too. So fat, full sounding, clean, clear sounding. Yeah, it's got everything clean. That pickup. This one's got more bark to it. But that's kind of sometimes what you want when you're playing clean. You want to have that option of just going switch, and then, you know, you've got a little bit of hair to the notes, and it's, you know, it's a little bit more aggressive. So that's great. And then as the sort of the gain goes up, the sort of the balance moves over to favour the bridge pickup, which is great. But you know, again, even when you've got quite a lot of gain heaped on, because these are lower output pickups, you've still got a little bit of clarity there on that neck pickup, whereas beforehand you didn't. It was just, you know, you might have switched to the neck pickup only to do, you know, like November Rain solo or whatever, Sweet Child of Mine. You know, that's the only time I ever switched over to the neck pickup, just to get that other tone. But with this, I think it's a lot more usable, you know, throughout the gain range. I think that's all there is to say about that. Yeah, this is a great Les Paul at any price point, I think. You know, it's just so stable. You know, the playability, you can just, I mean, I've had guitars where basically the issues with the playability have just kind of ruined the experience. You know, that's all you're thinking about. You're thinking, oh, it's choking out up here. Oh no, I've got to sort that out. I don't want to, but you know, and is the relief set properly and blah blah blah. But with this, I just forgot about all that for a few minutes there, and just focused on just having fun and playing, which is what you really should be doing on any new guitar. You know, you shouldn't be having issues, you know, like I did with the Stratocaster, but that's another story, that's another video. Watch this space. But yeah. And also it just looks right. You know, I love this. The sunburst isn't too garish, it's just a lovely sunburst, and yeah. Right, so just before I sum up then, right, let's just talk about, you know, value for money about this guitar. You know, £500 for an Epiphone Les Paul. Now, it's a bit expensive, isn't it? You know, not so long ago, 2015, you know, I know there's, you know, I know I've had the cost of living crisis and all that, still lots been going on, but I paid £299 for my Epiphone 335 Pro, which was a fantastic guitar. I don't think it's as good as this guitar, but but it was still, you know, almost half the price. You know, the newer, you know, the sort of 2020 onwards Epiphone inspired by Les Paul Jr., which I had, which was a good guitar. Again, not as good as this. That was something like $329. The studio version of this is $379. And you know, that comes with coil taps. You're not making a lot of concessions with that studio. It's got the plain colour top, the studio. It's got the same neck, it's got the same machine heads. It's got different pickups. It's got the Alnico Classic Pros, which are hotter. But this is £130 more than that. Strangely. I don't know. I would have liked to be paying £399 for this guitar, to be honest, not $499. But you know, having said that, it's got the long tenon, which a lot of people bang on about. You know, it's got this particular guitar, the 60s, has got the range of features that I want. You know, the slim taper neck, the Grover Rotomatics, the nice top, the Probuckers. Would I have liked to gone for the 50s with the the Probucker 1 and the Probucker 2? I think I've just got the balance right. I think the 50s would have been a bit too clean sounding and not being able to have as much fun with gain on the bridge pickup as this. I think the 2 and the 3 is a nice place to be. Yeah, like I said, didn't need the coil taps. So I'm glad this hasn't got the coil taps and it has got the CTS pots. Also, I mean, what I almost forgot to say, this has got the sort of quick release connectors on the pickups. So if you wanted to upgrade this pickups, now I really don't see the point, but you know, if you know about pickups and you know you've got money to waste on, you know, a set of bare knuckles or whatever, and you think you're going to get a massively better tone, you can just pop them straight in, click, done. You know, you don't have to do any soldering, which is another sort of benefit over the Gibson. Yeah, but I mean, the way I see it, £500 is a lot of money. I think this guitar has got a lot of competition in that price range. Now, it does feel a lot like a Gibson, but it makes a lot of concessions to the Gibson as well. It makes a lot more concessions than my Mexican player Stratocaster makes to the USA. That's a lot closer to a USA than this is to a USA Gibson. And the player Stratocaster is $599, so only £100 more. I've got to be honest, this feels like the cheaper guitar to me. It's close. Don't think it's great value for money. I think it's slightly expensive for what it is, you know, which is a Chinese made, dare I say it, kind of a cookie cutter guitar. You know, the components that's been used are great. It's been put together so nicely, you know, that I can't really fault the guitar. But I think that's kind of the problem. I think what it could lack is maybe a little bit of personality. Seems a strange thing to say, but you know, I know this guitar is mass produced in China, you know, got the graph techno, you know, just standard good things to have on your guitar, but nah, I'm probably waffling a bit. So anyway, that means it's probably time to close out the video. I just want to say thanks to everybody for subscribing and watching and liking. I've got over 500 subs now. So if you want to support the channel, click on the little money sign link. Give us some money if you want. Greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. I suppose what I will say is, you know, now that I've got a Strat and a Les Paul. It's kind of killed my gas, gear acquisition syndrome. Hopefully for good. I mean, if a company out there wanted to send us a guitar to review it, then great. But I've kind of got all the bases covered now. I've got the sort of Stratocaster angle, clean and sleek and nimble, all that stuff, ergonomic. And then I've got this, which is a Les Paul at the end of the day. I know it makes a few concessions to Gibson, but this feels so close to a Gibson now as to really makes no difference. You're not really losing anything by getting this guitar. You're not getting inferior pickups. You don't have to replace the wiring. You don't have to set it up. You don't have to mess about with the nut. You don't have to replace the tuners. What do you have to do with it? Nothing. Just pick it up, play it, plug it in, and sound like you're playing a Gibson. Like you're playing a Gibson. Everybody's going to have a different point of view on that. But for now, I'm just going to say, yeah, it was £500. But it's a lot of guitar for £500 as well. Even though it's not the best deal in the world. I've had some great deals on Epiphones, great deals. £299 for a fully fledged ES335. That was a steal. This isn't a steal, but I kind of think it's just about worth it. But now we are waffling. So, like I say, thanks for watching, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing. 500 plus subs now. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos with this thing, comparing it with the Strat, which is better. Now, I've always been a big fan of the Stratocaster, but I'm not selling this. I'm going to keep this, do videos about it, do reviews, do comparisons. This was my Les Paul now, I've only just started my journey with it. It's completely different to the Strat, but it's, in nice ways. It does things that the Strat can't do. I've always said that the Strat can do everything, and it can, but you can kind of sound like Knopfler and Brothers in Arms, but this sounds more like Knopfler and Brothers in Arms, let's put it that way. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Drop.